I'll begin. Good evening to those of you in attendance and online. Thank all of you for attending tonight's Farragut Municipal Planning Commission meeting. My name is Ron Pinchok. I am the chairman that will be conducting tonight's Planning Commission meeting. We appreciate that each of you has taken the time from your schedules to either attend or view tonight's meeting to observe how our town government works. All Farragut Municipal Planning Commission meetings are public notice per Tennessee State Law TCA 8-44-103. All Planning Commission meetings are streaming on the Farragut YouTube channel, and links to the recordings may be found on the Town of Farragut website. Those in attendance should be able to pick up a copy of the agenda at the door. If you are not able to attend in person and are viewing from home, you will be able to see the agenda posted on the Town of Farragut website. For any persons in attendance who would like to address this commission concerning an item on tonight's agenda, please pick up a blue card at the door and write your name, address, and agenda item that you wish to comment on, and give it to Mark Shipley here to my left. There will also be time reserved at the end of the business meeting for residents' comments on non-agenda subjects, which also requires that you fill out a blue comment card and include your name, address, and topic of your comments. On agenda item, the chairman, on each agenda item, the chairman will ask the town of Farragut, the town staff for Farragut residents' input. During this time, and any Farragut residents wishing to speak to the Planning Commission on that specific agenda item may do so for up to 3 minutes. After being recognized by the chairman, please proceed to the podium microphone in order to be heard and viewed by all. To conduct efficient business-like meetings, the town has adopted rules for how its meetings will be conducted. Primarily, these rules are designed to keep the meeting progressing along, assure that all points of view are heard and considered, and to provide common courtesy to everyone. We ask that you observe the established meeting rules when addressing members of the town staff and or members of the Planning Commission. At the beginning of your presentation, please state your name and address for the record. We ask that you address your questions to the chairman. If necessary, the chairman may call on a commissioner or staff member to address your questions or comments. Once you have given your input, please return to your seat. We ask that persons speaking avoid the use of improper language and profanity. Please only address the agenda issues. Speakers should strive to present original viewpoints and avoid redundancy. And we ask that you also stay on topic of that specific agenda item. Everyone, please remember, we are here tonight doing the people's business. It is a very important responsibility for all of us. Now I ask that if you're able, please stand for a moment of silence for prayer, and then our mayor will lead us in the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry. I have established that we now have 7 members present, therefore we have a quorum for tonight's proceedings. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
No, sir.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say yes.
Yes.
Anybody opposed? What are the results? Oh, we didn't vote on here. I'm sorry.
Just give us 1 moment.
Well, I haven't voted yet either. We got to get back to the.
Well, it didn't come up.
Oh, that's what it is.
There we go.
All right, sorry about that.
into the speaker so that they can
It's
hear.
unanimous.
Thank you. All right, approval of minutes. Are there any amendments to the minutes from the December meeting?
No, sir.
Motion to approve.
Any comments or changes from the commissioners? All right, if not, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say yes.
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 Abstain.
Abstain.
I think there were two.
Passes with 2 abstentions.
All right, thank you. All right, business items. Tonight, we have 3 action items, and under discussion items, we have 1. First item, 4A, a presentation of a resolution to commemorate Betty Dick Day.
I'll be reading this proclamation. This is a proclamation to recognize the contributions of Betty Dick and establish the third Thursday of January as Betty Dick Day. Whereas Betty Dick became involved with this Village Green Homeowners Association in the late 1970s and became concerned with a lack of development controls in Knox County as they would apply to the southwest portion of the county. And whereas Betty attended Metropolitan Planning Commission and Knox County Commission meetings as a representative of the Village Green subdivision to express her concerns, even as she faced disrespectful behavior from some commission members. And whereas Betty was a member of a group consisting of area residents who shared her concerns and advocated for the incorporation of the area now known as Farragut when it was evident that Knox County had no intention of addressing those concerns. And whereas Betty believed that the residents of this area could do a better job of planning, zoning, and code enforcement than Knox County. And whereas Betty recruited Ralph McGill to lead the Farragut Community Group along with David Rogers, who served as attorney for the group because she would not take no for an answer. And whereas Betty, along with the rest of the Farragut Community Group, worked exhaustively despite harassment, attempted intimidation, and threats during the incorporation effort, which proved successful on January 16, 1980, and whereas Betty continued to serve her community as chairman of the Visual Resources Review Board, where she was instrumental in crafting the town's first sign ordinance, and whereas Betty went on to serve 3 two-year terms as alderman, representing the North Ward from 1981 to 1987, and served on the Planning Commission as the board representative during her terms as alderman, and helped lay the foundation for the future growth and development of Farragut to protect and enhance the community's residential character. And whereas Betty served on the Municipal Planning Commission from 2012 to 2021, where she continued to advocate for the appropriate growth and development of the town based on the town's founding values and played a major role in updating the sign ordinance. Now therefore, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Farragut do by here designate the third Thursday of January as Betty Dick Day to recognize the contributions of Betty Dick for her efforts in helping the town of Farragut become incorporated in 1980 so this community could establish its own municipal planning commission to better address growth and development in our community.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm delighted to make a motion to approve the resolution to commemorate Betty Dick Day.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed?
We're doing it.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Item 4B, a request for approval to extend fiber cable for Comcast along the north side of Kingston Pike, just east of the intersection with Brooklawn Street, then along the east side of North Campbell Station Road, crossing North Campbell Station Road, and along the south side of Jamestown Boulevard to service 11507 Kingston Pike. Comcast applicant.
Yeah, this fiber project was actually mostly approved at the June Planning Commission meeting, but they, Comcast wanted an additional section along Kingston Pike and that required TDOT's approval, so they had to go through TDOT to get that section approved, and that's what they're requesting tonight, is to amend that original approved plan to include the section along Kingston Pike, which starts just to the east of the intersection of Kingston Pike and Brooklawn Street. Then the fiber would be installed in a new 2-inch conduit that would be bored under Kingston Pike from Brooklawn, and then on the north side of Kingston Pike, all the way down to the eastern intersection with North Campbell Station Road. And then we'll go north along North Campbell Station Road and cross under North Campbell Station Road to the intersection with Jamestown Boulevard and run along 900 feet of Jamestown Boulevard, and then into the Village Green Shopping Center to service 11507 Kingston Pike. The applicant has obtained approval from TDOT, and the staff is recommending approval of this fiber extension, subject to obtaining a right-of-way permit from the town's engineering department.
Okay, need a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, are there any citizens signed up for this?
No, sir.
All right, is there a representative present? Okay, any comments or questions from the commissioners?
None.
I think we need to make sure that a motion has a subject to.
The motion was subject to the.
Okay, just want to make sure. If there's no further questions or comments, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say yes.
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 Opposed?
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Item 4C, discussion and public hearing on a site plan for the West End Center, Phase 3, 171 West End Avenue, Zone C1/MUTC, the Architectural Collaborative applicant.
Yes, this item was postponed at the November meeting. They were working on some stormwater plans. But it involves a proposed 9,600 square foot building at the south intersection of West Point Drive and West End Avenue. This is the existing conditions, and kind of the shaded area are the parts of the parking lot that would be modified to accommodate the building and the changes that they'd be proposing to part of the parking lot. There's an existing detention basin along West End Avenue that, with their current proposal, they're proposing some underground detention in that area. The beige color is where the proposed building would be situated. It's up close to West Point Drive. They did not want to put the building along West End Avenue because it blocked the tenants in the existing West End Center. So if you remember, when we updated our land use plan back in 2012, there were some illustrations of different parts of the mixed-use town center, some concepts. And one of those was for the West End Center to have what's called these liner buildings, these buildings that are brought up closer to the street and kind of line the street. So that is consistent with, what's in our comprehensive land use plan and helps advance that design concept. They also have, as you all know, an amendment that's going through the Board of Mayor and Alderman dealing with the brick requirements, so that is based on the standards that are in the architectural design standards, allowing them to average the 4 elevations with at least 75% face brick. So the staff has reviewed this. I'm just going to show some other images here. This is kind of an expanded view of the detention along West End Avenue. The building is on the south elevation of the building that kind of faces the existing West End Center, or kind of corners it. they're trying to match that architecturally, and that's one of the reasons for their original amendment to the current requirements in the zoning ordinance for the face brick on all 4 elevations. So that elevation is the one that doesn't meet the face brick requirements currently, but all the other 3 elevations are almost 100% face brick. So if you average the 4, as would be in the text amendment, if that passes through the board, then this building would be in compliance, because it does average to at least 75% face brick. So these are some other images of the building. This is kind of an aerial showing where the building is situated. Let's see here. Of course, this is the building here, and the existing West End Center is here. Yeah, so that's kind of what it looks like from that perspective. Just different views of the building from different perspectives. Staff is recommending approval of this site plan. There are some subject tos. One of those was consideration of adding a sidewalk. The dumpster is kind of in a little bit of a circuitous location. It's over here. And the request was there's an existing sidewalk here, basically just adding a sidewalk to access that dumpster if they're gonna keep it there. Otherwise, whoever's, taking the trash out there is gonna be in the street. So that's one of the recommendations. Highlighting the landscaped area between the building and parking lot, that's actually a site plan requirement. It would obviously need to be reflected on the landscape plan as well, which they will need to provide, and that's the third, one of the other comments, the subject twos. Tree preservation plan is also part of the site plan, and that's just identifying the trees that are being removed, and then those will be carried over to be reflected on replacement trees on the landscape plan. On the architectural sheets, just clarifying that masonry is face brick in relation to this building, because that is the requirement in the mixed-use town center. The utility plan needs to show the transformer locations and other utility structures, especially given how close the building is to the street. The lighting sheets have some minor adjustments, just some clarifications, listing out the foot candle readings along the property lines, including a column to list out the Kelvin temperature for the different light fixtures, noting that the mounting height for the wall fixtures cannot exceed 15 feet. And then the cut sheets that were included in the set, if you zoom in on them, they really weren't legible, so I think they just need to re-upload those so that you can see them and the details there. The 8th condition was providing a letter of credit for erosion control and site stabilization. And then the 9th is dealing with, it's just a comment, it's not really a subject to necessarily, but there will be an item later on the agenda that could alter if it ultimately goes through you all and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, could give folks in certain parts of watersheds an option to not detain stormwater. And it's all kind of about peak discharge and timing of runoff and all that kind of stuff. And I'm definitely not the expert on that, but we'll have a discussion about that later. But if that does ultimately change, and then they can demonstrate that they would be able to meet the adopted standard with the proper studies, then that may be an element of this site plan that would be modified. And depending on what that involves, whether you all feel like it needs to come back to you, I think it would probably depend on the degree of change. But instead of having something underground along West End Avenue, it'd probably just be, a parking lot in the same location. That'd be my guess. So that may not be a substantial visual change, since the detention is actually proposed to be underground. And then obviously the text amendment would need to pass through the dealing with the architectural design standards as far as the face brick because that's what they're showing on this site plan. But it was unanimously recommended for approval by the planning commission and is recommended for approval by the staff as well. So that's the subject twos for this. Does anybody have any questions about those or the project?
Motion to approve with the subject twos.
Second motion.
All right, thank you. First of all, do we have any citizens signed up?
No, sir.
And we have representatives here. Would someone like to come up to the microphone so we can have a few questions we probably want to ask? If you would, turn on the mic and give us your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Matt Sprinkle, 631 Carch Drive, Maryville, Tennessee.
Okay, anything you want to add before we come up with
No, I
anything?
think Mark covered it well. Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate, the assistance they've given us through this process. And as Mark mentioned, we would also, depending on the item in the agenda later on, we'll want some clarification on how that might impact us and what kind of steps we may need to take to accommodate that, but.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
It has to do with the dumpster. I'm a little concerned where that dumpster is being located. That's, you've got 8 bays there, and you may have 3, 4, 5 different tenants. They're gonna have to walk all the way down across that street and around the corner. I was just wondering, is it possible, in my opinion, maybe to put the dumpster at the west end of the building that you're building currently? Is there room? I know aesthetically you don't want a dumpster there,
Yeah.
but I was thinking maybe you could,
Yeah, that's gonna be probably a nice
Enclose it
landscape
somehow?
area. Yeah. I think the sidewalk is a good idea that we'll look at to improve the access for the tenants to the dumpster. And,
as Mark said, we don't want the employees walking on the street out there, so.
yeah, right. So I think, sidewalk's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, that's
It was just a thought.
Yeah, it's a good thought. It's a trade-off between, the nice aesthetics, that's the open area there next to the site and the distance. So, yeah, it'd be something that, the tenants and the owners will consider.
Okay. Any other questions by commissioners?
Yeah, they'd be a good way from good exercise.
I'm thinking of bad weather, rain or whatever,
Yeah, that's true.
So, any other questions, comments?
None.
All right. Well, we have a motion and a second. And let me ask you, on the motion, does it include 8 subject twos? Is 9 a subject two or not? I'm a little confused on that. That's just a comment, right?
No, that's really just a
So we have,
alert to, and, that if that changes, this would be potentially a property that could qualify because it does directly abut Turkey Creek. But obviously, that's a couple months off at least.
Okay.
Before that goes through the process, so,
all right,
Does it really need to come back to us, Mark, or?
we need to come back to you all for an ordinance. We just have it as a workshop item tonight.
Yeah, I understand, but I meant.
Oh, the site plan?
Yeah.
That's up to you all. I mean, from my perspective, if it's not a material change that would, you would notice, because the detention as proposed, like I mentioned earlier, is underground. So, I mean, I would be fine with that if you all are okay with that, or if we see that it's obviously a notable change that we feel like would need to come back to you. If y'all want to give us the ability to make that call, that's up to you all.
I'm fine with the staff review on that.
Same here.
I agree. Okay, so we're okay on the motion? We got it? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Nothing showing up on my screen.
Did mine. I haven't voted.
Yes, please. It's a yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Next item on the agenda is item 4D. Discussion and public hearing on the right-of-way improvements associated with the Easy Stop Convenience Market to be constructed outside the town limits at 1064 Concord Road, 4.69 acres, Zone CN, Knox County zoning, Cannon & Cannon applicant.
Yeah, this project is similar to one that we looked at a few months ago on Outlet Drive, where the development itself was not in the town limits, but there were some modifications proposed that involved the town's right-of-way. So Concord Road, as you all know, is a state route. The entire right-of-way of Concord Road is in the town of Farragut. So if you're doing work in the right-of-way, then it does require approval from the town's planning commission. So that's why it's here before you. This is an existing shot of the property as it exists currently, undeveloped. There's an existing access that was created when TDOT improved Concord Road, and that's where their access is proposed for this project. I'll show you that. It's in that same location. There's a short taper out there currently, and what they're proposing to do is put in a full deceleration lane. There's an existing sidewalk along the east side of Concord Road. They obviously would have to modify part of that to work it through their access. This section of Concord Road has a raised median, so their access onto Concord Road is obviously going to be a right in, right out. They do have a second access off of Second Drive, which is not in the town, and that's over here, and they are tying in their sidewalk system into that, which is a good plan. So again, the majority of what you're reviewing here would include the deceleration lane, the construction of that, and the modifications to the sidewalk. So the staff is recommending approval of the work proposed within the town's right-of-way, subject to obtaining a right-of-way permit from the town's engineering department. Obviously, they'd have to get TDOT's approval. That would be part of our right-of-way permit. Then providing a letter of credit for $20,000 to ensure that any damaged areas are restored to their pre-development condition that are not part of the project. So that's the staff's review of this. If you all have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
We need a motion?
What's the staff's recommendation?
It was to approve the proposed work in the right-of-way, subject to obtaining a right-of-way permit from the town's engineering department and providing the letter of credit for $20,000. Yep.
We need a motion?
Motion to approve with the two subject twos.
Need a second?
Second.
All right, thank you.
I want to speak on that.
Okay. Citizens first. Do we have any citizens signed up?
No, sir.
Okay. Representative? We got someone here?
Yeah, looks like we got a couple.
Step up, turn on the microphone, and give us your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. Trenton
Turn on the microphone.
Green?
Yep, got it now. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Trenton Langston, 2128 East Broadway, Maryville, Tennessee.
Okay. Anything you want to add to what Mark's already covered?
No, sir. Appreciate Mark's comments and the staff's work with Cannon.
Okay.
Okay, one thing I'd like to see when you reroute the sidewalk around your decel lane is where you have the entrance there, I'd like for that to be marked as a crossing. In other words,
You mean
across the drive.
marked across the driveway
Yeah.
on the entrance?
Yeah,
I think we can do that. There is a median in between there, a raised median. I don't know if you're proposing the markings to go on top of that as well, or just in the paved area? or-
just in the paved area, so that folks will know that, that is a cross area.
Sure.
Okay.
No concerns.
Okay, good.
You need to add that to the,
Yeah, we need to add that to the motion.
or to the, subject to.
Or so.
I'll amend my motion.
Do you think that that would conflict with the stop bars? Will there be stop bars there, Russ?
inconsistent with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
See, that's.
yeah, I don't have a personal objection to it, but I don't know about that.
Why don't we make it, make it a motion so that if it's inconsistent or, if markings, if consistent with MUTCD direction. How about that?
Yeah. You'll have a ramp coming off the sidewalk with the dots on it. And then you'll also have that on the other side, so to make it to be ADA compliant, is what I'm thinking about.
Understood. I'm thinking, oh, I thought you were talking about going across.
Well, yeah, going across, but you're,
Usually you don't have. My understanding that is, and I could be wrong, because that stuff, that's a pretty thick manual, that if you don't have, some kind of stop signs or whatever, you don't usually have a crosswalk, marked crosswalk across a road. Is that what you're asking for them to do?
well, may have to get Darrell up here because he may know a little bit more about the, what the complexity is as far as what we've got to do to make sure that that crosswalk is ADA.
Well, it's that short for sure, but can you mark a crosswalk?
Yeah.
That's the question.
I believe you, I'm sorry?
Can you delineate it with some marking paint on the paper?
You can do the standard crosswalk, which is just the two bars, or you can do the crosswalk, the continental, which is what we typically use everywhere in the town now.
Even if there's no, I don't, usually I think that happens.
You can,
Yes, they'll have a stop sign there. Would they have a stop sign coming out of the, or is it yield? Or
I think they probably should. Do you have a stop sign there? It's not a requirement that there be a crosswalk there, but it can be done. I mean, we have a mixture throughout the town.
I just wanted clarity on that.
I'm thinking about the safety issue as far as the, and also the ADA compliance. Because if TDOT's involved, I'm sure we'll get some sort of direction.
Would you give us your name and address?
Russ Edens, 10025 Investment Drive. Just to try to help provide some clarity, I'm showing a delineated crosswalk. It's kind of hard to see. If you look in the middle inset there, I don't have it called out, so it may not be as obvious. And then we are in the permitting process with TDOT, and they are requesting a stop bar as well.
Good.
Thank you.
I don't think we need an motion, do we?
Covered.
Any other comments or questions?
I just want to state this so that there's clarity. All we are controlling is the ingress and the access to that property. That property is it's in Knox County. This development is controlled by Knox County. I know there was a lot of controversy from the Concord residents, old Concord residents, that they were hoping for something maybe a little bit more historical in nature and feel, because it is an entrance to their historical area, but that overlay that they have does not, I don't think, extends over to the commercial area. So all we have control over right here is the access to the property. We don't have any say over what happens on the property.
Yeah, it's really just the part that's in the town's limit, which is the right-of-way only. And that access is, like I said earlier, is already pre-set. There is another access on Concord Road that will be an issue at some point if somebody ever wants to utilize it, but that's not part of this development.
You're talking about on down to the
Yeah,
north.
north of that.
Cross that bridge when we get to it.
Any other comments? All right, if not, we have a motion and a second. Time to vote. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on now to a discussion item. Discussion on amendments to the Farragut Code of Ordinances, Chapter 111, Stormwater Management Control, Section 111-7, Design Standards for Detention and/or Retention Ponds to provide for potential exemptions related to the peak discharge of stormwater in the lower portions of major watersheds.
I was going to just give you the description of the suggested change in a nutshell and turn it over to you. But I've changed my mind. I think I'm going to read what I've got. If you'll bear with me, hopefully my voice can make it through the reading. This is a text amendment to our stormwater ordinance that allows project development in the lower portions of our watersheds to be exempt from our detention requirements. The wording recognizes the fact that the peak discharge from a large watershed can arrive well after the peak discharge from a downstream development has been released, to the point that eliminating detention is an actual advantage. Of course, the developer would have to submit a hydrologic study showing the lack of detention is indeed an advantage. Staff would suggest the following language be added to section 111-7 of the stormwater ordinance. It would be item G. At the discretion of the town administrator, detention may not be required under the following conditions. 1, the project site discharges stormwater runoff directly into Turkey Creek west of Admiral Road, or directly into the North Fork of Turkey Creek south of Kingston Pike, or directly into Little Turkey Creek south of Needlegrass Lane. Qualifying properties must directly abut the stream sections listed without stormwater flowing across other property lines to discharge into the listed stream sections. 2, it can be demonstrated that stormwater detention for a project site is unwarranted due to the development's location in the lower portion of the watershed and the timing of the peak discharge without detention. The developer must submit complete hydrologic and hydraulic computations prepared by a registered civil engineer with expertise in hydrology to support this conclusion. Typically, this might occur in the very lowest downstream reaches of a major watershed if it can be proved that undetained stormwater should be discharged quickly to avoid the peak discharge timing for the entire watershed. And 3, even if stormwater detention is waived for the above situations, the site development must still employ low-impact development practices, see section 111-8, and provide water quality treatment for the runoff. That is more than in a nutshell, but I just wanted to present that to you and see what your thoughts were on it. We've had a couple of requests from developers for us to consider that, and I think it's a good consideration to make.
Daryl, haven't we incorporated the beat the peak philosophy in the past without the ordinance change?
We have done it once that I can remember. That was on a very small parcel, right at the, that would be the LCUB office. That's been several years ago.
The LC, you're talking about the LCB office on Campbell Station next to
LCUB on
35
Campbell
North?
Station,
Oh.
right there by 35 North.
Daryl, just because this is what I'm envisioning what you're talking about, is we've got this lower portion of the watershed that we're not gonna retain. We're saying, okay, as the water comes in, it's gonna go straight into the system so that it's not all piling up with everything else and then unloading at the
Right.
same time.
In a large watershed, the upstream portions, you don't see a peak discharge at the lower end until all of the watershed is contributing to the flow at that point. That can be a couple of hours. It could even, in a very large watershed, it can be a matter of days before that peak discharge makes it all the way down. In this case, it would be probably, we may be looking something like a couple of hours.
Okay, I read one report, or maybe it was a set of emails that was 13 hours is, what was that? What was, that was provided to us by email.
Okay, I'll defer. That came from Jeff Mize.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
CDM Smith. He is
Yeah.
here tonight. Jeff, would you want to come ahead?
Hi, Jeff Mize with CDM Smith, 1100 Marion Street, Suite 300, Knoxville. I'm a practicing civil engineer for 27 years. Been in Knoxville the whole time with our firm. We've done a lot of work in Farragut and Knoxville. The 13 hours that you referenced is straight out of the FEMA published guidelines for this particular watershed. You're looking at between 13 to 15 hours peak for the farthest reaches of the Turkey Creek watershed. In general, in practice, what we're seeing more and more throughout the country, and you know, we've got a large firm, we've got 6,500 employees all over the world, we work literally all over the world. The purpose of detention is to prevent flooding on your site and flooding downstream. The right thing to do is to do a study to see if detention is needed, but not pass an ordinance saying detention is required. Beat the peak that's the right philosophy. So rather than detain, and you're exactly right, and instead of detaining water on your site, you could be doing more harm than good if you're right at the bottom of the watershed, because if that peak catches up and you're still holding water, you could do more flooding than what you're intending not to do. The purpose of detention is to not flood. You could be exacerbating the problem. So that's the general philosophy. I would suggest not being too restrictive with your ordinance. Maybe tweak the wording a little bit and just require a study. If you're in the lower reaches to these creeks, don't talk about adjacent properties or anything like that. Just you're in the lower reaches adjacent to these specific major tributaries, major creeks, do a study. That would be my suggestion.
So some of this language you're saying right now is a little concerning for you.
It is a little concerning, a little too restrictive.
Holding on tight, which
little
we
too
like to do
restrictive.
this in Farragut.
I understand.
We grasp on tightly to things.
I understand.
I like the idea that you have a study to back it up. Certainly, if we have the ability to, obviously, we have two waterways coming in together, and it's been difficult in the past to make sure that everything's flowing correctly. And I like the idea that we're trying to rectify a situation. I don't want to hold on to it too toughly, but I'd like to have I think a study is very important to have to whatever we're looking at. Is this sufficient? So I'm fine with massaging the language a little bit so that we're in a place where we're actually affecting what it is we want to do.
We appreciate your input. Thank you. Any more questions here?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
This sounds really practical. It seems like an engineering plus, like you said, beat the peak. It's actually making things worse to detain the water and wait there until the peak comes and let it go during the peak. It's really a bad idea. And not only that, it seems like a great idea for the developers as well, because there may be a lot of expense involved in that detention pond. For example, the item that we spoke of earlier today, that looks expensive to do that underground detention. So this looks like a win-win for everybody. And I guess, Darryl, you're gonna take a look at the wording to see if that wording can be massaged a little bit and make it less restrictive, because I think I agree with you, sir, that as long as the study is done, and that study then points out the runoff destinations, et cetera, and accommodates for that particular situation. And as long as the wording states that the study is done, that sounds like a better way to do it than try to define it in the ordinance. That's the only comment I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I think the study would need to go to Darryl after it's done, so, I mean, we're gonna get to look at it. It's not like it's just gonna fly by, so. Okay, great, thanks.
Anybody from the West End project want to make any comments at this time about this? Because it may affect you in some way or other. This is for discussion purposes only, so we won't be voting on anything tonight.
Chester Carball, 12401 Butternut Circle. I did live in a town. I work for First Construction Company, which will be overseeing the project. I greatly appreciate just the consideration of this particular thing. We've worked with the staff and talked through the lower portion of the watershed, and it is advantageous, I think, to get that water gone. And it will impact us and actually help the project financially. So it's a plus and we're definitely in favor of it. I'm glad that the town and engineering staff is considering it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops, we got another comment.
Yeah, I just want to second, I'm also a practicing civil engineer. I'm a firm of one, not worldwide, but I do a lot of.
Did you give us your name and?
I did earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do a lot of work all over East Tennessee, and you're seeing a lot of municipalities adopt similar language to this. And seems to be an evolution between, you know, the past just worried about detention, but now it's more water quality and things like that. So I think it's a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions? All right.
I think the city of Knoxville's already got this, if I'm not mistaken.
What's that?
I think the city of Knoxville already has this, if I'm not mistaken. Darrell, you comment on that?
I'm sorry, I should have pointed that out. The city of Knoxville has language in their stormwater ordinance covering this. Same with Sevierville, Tri-Cities, Elizabethton. So it's around.
Got more water issues than we would ever think about, yeah.
Right.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on. Any utility approval of utilities tonight?
No, sir.
Any citizens forum?
Yes, sir. I have Joe LaCroix.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Joe LaCroix, 11123 Farragut Hills Boulevard. I might have missed it. I came in a little bit late, so if I do, shoo me away, send me on. A couple years ago, the Knox County put together a comprehensive land use and transportation plan called Advanced Knox. Through extensive public outreach, they put that together. So once that was passed, with the help of City of Knoxville, Knox County, and Town of Farragut, there were some things that were going to come out of it that are now coming due, and that's the Unified Development Ordinance. Like for, you know, you guys, this is perfectly right up your alley. Maybe you want to talk about it, maybe not, but I'd like to encourage our citizens in the town of Farragut to get involved with that process and put together their thoughts and send them on to the people who are developing this ordinance. And I think it should be talked about, and I know some of you people really know a lot more about it than I do. So thank you. That's all I got. Goodbye.
Now, we have a Zoom meeting coming up on that here. You remember when it is, Louise?
I have signed up for it.
Yeah, I have too.
Last week of January, I believe.
Okay.
January 28th.
Is that the one you just sent a notice out of?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yes, January 27th,
Yeah, 7th, yeah, okay.
noon. You have to sign up for the Zoom. I would go to the advancedknox.org. AdvancedKnox.org has all that information. It has the growth policy plan information and the comprehensive land use plan, and then this is the third part of that whole Advanced Knox process is the UDO, which is they are redoing their zoning ordinances, their any of the development ordinances, their stormwater ordinances, their road access ordinance, all of those ordinances are coming into play, and they're updating all of them. So it's quite an undertaking.
It would be educational for the planning commission. Yeah.
Well, and I'm glad you're here, and I hope that people are watching. People in the town of Farragut are affected. People in the Choteau area should be, I know it's dense stuff, but they need to be looking at it and thinking about it, because stormwater is a big issue out in the county, and they deal with it. It's been a struggle for a lot of these new developments that are coming in, so.
All right, thank you. If there's no other business, the time is approximately 6:52, and we are